Alright everybody, it's been a long time since my last video. There's some reasons behind that. I've tried to make this video a couple times and it's just every time I watch through everything and try to edit it, it's just the video just kind of gets dragged on a little bit and I'm just wasn't happy with it, so gonna kind of make this one short and sweet and get to the point and everything like that, catch everybody up and kind of just go from there. So last video we had taken it to the tuner and we needed to sort out some fuel system issues and everything like that. So basically ordered some parts and everything like that for the car and was going to go back to the tuner to have them installed, have the fuel system updated, everything like that. And went to go get gas for the car and brought it back here because it was supposed to go to the tuner like the next day or a couple days later. And long story short, I believe that the fuel system it had some tweaks in it, had some bugs and everything, and basically went to make a turn, hit the gas like, just a normal takeoff on a turn. And I believe what happened is because the fuel rails didn't have an actual drain themselves, so my thought is that the fuel rails drained of all the fuel, and because we were having issues with the fuel pressure regulator, I think the regulator at that time was at like 50 psi when it's supposed to be at 40, but it would kind of go in between depending on what it felt like. So I think the fuel rails drained, the fuel pressure regulator was at a higher pressure than it was supposed to be. So then when the fuel pressure or the fuel rail repressurized, I just kind of got a blast of power and the car took off, and it ended up sailing itself into a power pole. It was kind of at a point where the car cost more to fix than what I was going to get out of it from the insurance and then buyback. So unfortunately, after 13 years of ownership, I did decide to part ways with the car. Everything on that car was done by me. I made that car into what I wanted. I didn't really care what anybody else thought about it. I wanted to do with the car what I wanted to do, what my dream always was to do with that car. And so it just, after everything and all that, like I said, it was going to cost more to bring it back to where it was than what it was going to be worth, and then buyback and everything like that. And parts availability was getting very hard for that car, and so everything that I would have to put into it to get it back to where it was just going to be too much, especially with, having my daughter and now I have a son and everything like that. It was just going to be too much. So, like I said, parted ways with it and kind of was thinking about, a few things. What was I going to replace it with? When was I going to replace it? And to be honest, I kind of was looking at maybe going in a few different ways. I always wanted an Evo. Just loved the thought of a turbo 4-cylinder with all-wheel drive, 4 doors. They can be made very fun, very quick, and everything. So that was an idea on the table. Some of the other things that I was thinking about was like the ISF. I was looking at an ISF just because I really like my Lexus that I have. Kind of wanted to move into something that was like 4 doors or whatever, something that wasn't just strictly a 2-seater. Because after I paid off some debts and everything like that, financially, could I have swung something like a Viper or a Corvette? I could have, just based upon what debts I paid off and what I was going to be able to swing for a monthly payment. But I wasn't really keen to that idea. So like an ISF was looking like a good car that could replace it. But the issue that I had was with the ISFs, you're kind of limited as to what you can do. It's really with those you have intake, header, exhaust, and then if you really want to get into it, a supercharger down the line. But like there's nothing else really for those cars. They're kind of, you get what you get and you can make little tweaks, but that's about it with those cars. So decided to go against that. Had a few other things in mind. Like I said, you know, didn't really want a two-seater coupe. Didn't really want something that like was gonna become a crazy build again like the GTO was. Like I didn't want to dump a whole bunch of money into a car or make it something that was just a hassle to drive. Like as much as I loved the GTO, was kind of a handful to drive and take care of and everything like that. Wasn't gonna buy anything German, wasn't gonna buy anything English or anything like that. So I had a few ideas in mind, and I ended up finding something that didn't think I'd ever be able to afford. Didn't think I'd ever just be able to get my hands on, honestly, but it actually became a viable option. Kind of researched them for a while, looked at everything, and pulled the trigger on something. I've had it for a little bit now, so gonna kind of make this second half of this video all about the car. So this first half was kind of just catching you up with everything, where I've been, why it's been a little bit, but now let's get into the car and kind of talk a bit about it. Alright, so yeah, this is the new car. It's a 2012 Cadillac CTS-V. Was one of the cars that I wasn't considering at first. I honestly didn't think it fell in like my price range or affordability or whatever, but once I kind of looked back into them, you know, I was able to swing it and everything like that. And where this car is, it put me back in between where the GTO was and where it was going to be. You know, obviously I still have modability to it. I can make it mine, do some things here and there. But it's, you know, well put together as it is. It's a beautiful car. They're stout, and, you know, being another LS based vehicle, it's something that I already kind of am comfortable with. I know how to work on them. I know the ins and outs of the LS motors and everything like that. The LSA obviously has its own quirks and everything like that, but for the most part, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like when I realized that I was able to, you know, work it in, realized it just everything that I was going to be able to do with it, and it fit right in. So let's kind of talk about some things and where we're going to go with it and everything like that. So yeah, let's get started on a few things. All right, so starting off, I did get this car completely bone stock. It's owned by an older gentleman. As you can tell, there is no tint on these windows at all. It's a fishbowl. So that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to take care of on this car soon. Also, don't mind that it's so dirty. I did wash the car, drove it around for a little bit, and then one of the days I took it out, it decided it was going to rain for about 2 minutes and then not again for the rest of the day. So naturally, being a black car, it looks disgustingly dirty. Anyways, so First thing that I did with this, and I'll show you. So on the GTO, I had what was called an Aeroforce gauge, and it kind of like goes over all the parameters. It basically can monitor anything that the ECU can monitor. The one on the GTO was kind of specific to a few years like that. However, I did sell it, and I grabbed me one for the V. So got it here, got it all set and everything like that. So that way I can monitor a lot of the things and stuff like that I'm going to want to monitor, especially on these cars. You want to watch your intake air temps. You want to watch oil pressure, stuff like that. So that's squared away. It was one of the things I absolutely had to do, and one of the first things that I wanted to do. Moving on to the second thing that I've done so far. I did put on a Corsa intake. Just wanted something that's going to breathe a little better, because, you know, it's just one of the first mods that you do to a car that you're going to be modifying and everything like that. So went ahead with that. Got that on, love it, no issues. Next thing that I did, actually the next thing I did was the exhaust cutouts. I'm not gonna crawl under there, you heard it in the video. Got those on there, wanted something that I could open and close. Obviously, I mean, as I get a little bit further down the road, exhaust is gonna change a little bit more. But for now, you know, it gives me a little bit of sound, keeps me happy. Next thing is the brake calipers. So, not sure why, but I've noticed a lot of like the Brembos and stuff, they like to paint chip and stuff like that. So this one had some chips and stuff in the actual caliper paint. Wanted to go a little bit different route than everything else, because it seems to be nowadays everything has red calipers or yellow calipers or something bright and in your face. And you know, I kind of like that flashy with that, but to a point. And then there's certain colors that work with certain cars and certain ones that don't with others. I went my own route and ended up, I'm using my light. It doesn't really show you that well the color of these calipers. When you're in the light, like in the actual sunlight, they come out a lot better. It's like a deep blue. Did my own decals. I wanted the silver one, so they kind of popped out. So I did the fronts as well as the rears. Can't do one without the other. So I went ahead with that. So far, like being actually on the car, those are the only things right now. One thing that I was actually able to snag off of the GTO was this guy. So this is the supercharger that was on the GTO. Gonna clean it up a little bit and everything like that. But to prep it for the V, I did do a few things. So as you can see here, I did have the top milled because these cooling vanes do come in contact with the hood. So you either have to cut the hood or you can mill this down. I decided to mill it down because I'm gonna paint it anyway. I have a paint that's going to be kind of close to what the GTO color was. At least I hope. We'll see how it comes out. So that's going to get painted. The other part of that is on the inside, the intercooler brick. That was reinforced. So those like to collapse after so long. So got the intercooler brick reinforced. The other things are, we still have the injectors in there. So injectors are 1000cc injectors. Gonna keep those in because we are gonna do some other things. Does have the smaller pulley still on it. I may swap this out for a 2.55 for now because this is a 2.45. Not sure I want to go that crazy yet. Just gonna kind of hold on to this one and see. But I am going to go to a 2.55 just for now and go from there. This is pretty much a brand new unit. So going to swap this one, sell the old one, and kind of use that towards some other things. So we've got that coming. We also have Where did I put it? Okay, we also have the E85 sensor. Still want to run E85 on this car. This one is basically like it plumbs right into the original system. Didn't really want to mess around with fuel systems and stuff on this one. Honestly, doing the fuel system on the GTO was kind of a bit of a headache. It was a huge undertaking. I was so relieved when it was done. I don't really want to mess with fuel systems any more than I have to. So luckily it plumbs right into the original system. And that's it. It's a plug and play. That's it. You're done with it. So got that coming as well. For right now, that's about it. There are other things that I'm gonna do. Obviously, this is a car I'm keeping forever. And so, it's gonna be a lifelong project. So I'm not trying to jump into it too much because, obviously, at some point I'm going to want to tear down the motor, kind of go through it, freshen it up, maybe, strengthen some things here and there. But I'm not going to be going to a 416 stroker motor, anything like that. Mostly, I want to get it to a point and then bulletproof it to last at that point. Not doing 1,000 horsepower, not doing 800 horsepower. I have a number I want to be at, that I'm comfortable at, and something that's still going to be, something that I can drive, enjoy, and then let my wife get in, drive, and enjoy, and not worry too much about her being in the car. I think that's pretty much what I have for this video. Obviously, I'm going to make the videos for the other things. The intake, simple install. Cutouts, they're a weld-in thing. Brake calipers, there's so many videos of painting brake calipers on YouTube and the internet and everything like that. Didn't feel like I needed to do it. The Aeroforce gauge, basically it's 4 trim pieces and then 9,000 screws to disassemble that whole thing. I didn't really want to do that. I wasn't going to make a video on that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So stay tuned, and we'll get some things rolling, get some more content going, and move on to this next chapter. All right, see you guys.